Redskins fans, what a day it is. The Burgundy and Gold started and finished hot today, and despite some questionable stuff in the middle, managed to seal a confidence-building win against the now 1-3 division rival Philadelphia Eagles. Unlike most games this season, the Redskins overcame penalties and mental mistakes on their way to this sexy fourth-quarter come-from-behind win at FedEx Field. We're now at the quarter mark of the season with as many wins as we had at Week 7 last year, so let's keep these good feelings going with the game recap coming up next right here on the Hawkseye.
It's the Hawkseye.
All right, guys, here we are, another win. I got my big gulp and my Doritos like a true fat American. I earned them today. So excited to get your guys' take on this game. I thought it was an awesome one, and what a way to finish with that fourth quarter drive. So let's start offense. It's the natural place to start. Everybody wants to start there anyway. Let's talk about some Kirk Cousins. I'll kick us off here. I thought he looked pretty damn good. We didn't see a damn turnover, which was a beautiful sight.
Here's the biggest thing. 46 passes from Kirk.
That's a lot. Yep.
That's 0 interceptions.
My thing with Kirk, and yeah, I think it was most certainly Kirk's best game of the year by far, and one of his best games of his career. But he pushed the ball downfield, and he actually made some throws. He missed a few, but when it really got tough there in the fourth quarter, he started completing some downfield passes. That just made me so happy.
Yeah, I mean, the fourth quarter kind of speaks for itself. We definitely have to talk about that more, but it seemed like at the beginning of the game, things kind of got off to a rocky start. I mean, he seemed to be underthrowing and overthrowing guys. He wasn't that accurate. He struggled definitely out of the gates, and because of that, we lost 2 drives to just 2 field goals where we could have scored. So, I mean, like we said, overall, pretty good stuff, but it seemed like a rocky, slow start for him. I'm glad he was able to get it going there towards the end.
I'll tell you, the thing about this game that I don't know if anyone else picked up on it. I think this is the first game where they didn't really talk about RG3 all the game long.
There were 0 cuts to him during the game either.
There were no cuts to him. There was no conversation. This was the first game where it was Kirk's team. And you felt that throughout the game. Like, you felt that not just because the announcers didn't talk about RG3, but I really feel like this team finally has made that switch of, well, Kirk's just the guy here now to, well, Kirk's the guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think a performance like this, particularly at the end of the game, is one of those things that solidifies a guy's role. This is the kind of win that you want to see. Steve, can you hit us with some stats to get us a little more in-depth onto him?
Kirk Cousins was 31 of 46 or 290 yards, averaged 6.3 yards per attempt, only sacked once. His rating was 91.8. And the rating climbed. During the game, he was down in low 80s, and it climbed up. That's a 67% completion rating.
Solid.
Yeah. So all that is
a
solid game by Kirk. I do think you're right, Sean, that he started slow. He never really made a big mistake, but he wasn't. He was kind of blah for about 2.5 quarters, and then all of a sudden it kind of kicked in. But all around, from a statistical standpoint, 67% completion, 290 yards, and a touchdown and no interceptions is about as good as we've ever seen Kirk. Ever.
Yep.
Yeah, he's not a big touchdown guy, but
well, the Redskins aren't
fine.
Big touchdown team.
Fair enough.
That's true, too. To make Alex's point from last week, which I thought was an awesome point, I actually used that in my argument with somebody today about Kirk Cousins, is his completion percentage was good, but you have to kind of take that with a grain of salt because this, like you pointed out, Alex, is like a high completion percentage offense. Right. With the short passes and the dump-offs, you're going to get a lot more completed passes. If you just look at Kirk Cousins' completion percentage next to Bradford's, Cousins is way better. It's like a 64% to like a 50% or something like that. But you have to keep that in mind of what kind of offense is being run. So good performance, but it's not like he really knocked
No.
Yeah,
right? As a matter of fact, just as comparison, Bradford, the losing quarterback, 15 to 28 for 270 yards. He averaged 9.6 yards per attempt, which is over almost 3.5 yards more than Cousins. I mean, Cousins is never going to be John Elway. He's always going to kind of. This was good Kirk today. And it was about as good as he's going to be. And like I said in the beginning, when we see Kirk go downfield and make a few passes, even if it's only at the end of the game, that is really, really good Kirk. because he doesn't. The offense doesn't use that very often, and he doesn't complete them very often. But today, when it mattered most, he did.
Here's something though. You look at those stats and you think, well, Sam Bradford had a pretty good game. But if you really watch that game, he looked completely lost out there.
He was rattled in that first half pretty heavily.
Well, this.
Yeah, I mean, he was struggling to read the field, and he looked like a statue in the pocket. I mean, that's why we're getting so many sacks at the beginning. But then second half, he was moving around a little bit more.
Yeah, he was. He looked like a different quarterback in the second half, and that's also why the PFFs of the world need to be taken with a grain of salt, because I love the stats, but stats can only take you so far. You have to watch the game and evaluate how a player looks on the field first and foremost.
Exactly.
And like you said, Sam Bradford first half was a totally different man than Sam Bradford second half. He came out firing, looked good, looked confident. I was at that point in the third quarter. I thought, oh, here we go. It's going to get ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think we all did, yeah. And Bradford's stats are probably skewed a little bit too because they had a couple of those long touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did find a weakness eventually.
Right. We can talk about that with defensive stuff, but I wanted to make another point about Kirk is you did see a couple of those forced throws, especially that one to Crowder that was forced into triple coverage. That was a beautiful catch by Crowder. If you were watching the game, you saw him go up over the top over three dudes and pull that ball down.
It was a darn lucky play.
Scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing that Kirk usually gives up. So it worked in our favor today, but it's kind of concerning to me still to see him force that ball.
It's not just...
Sorry, go ahead.
It's not just Crowder. I want to say every receiver we had out there stepped up pretty big today. Jordan Reed, who I know he got hurt, and we're going to wait and hear what happened there, but Jordan Reed had that amazing leap for the first down where he stretched out the ball.
Yeah.
Garcon on that final drive it looked like, 3-4 big catches in a row there in the end?
God, yeah.
I mean, he went God mode in the final drive.
I didn't hear the announcers on the Garcon touchdown. I had wondered whether or not that was actually a touchdown because it looks like Garcon's body was in the end zone, and I wasn't sure if the ball was across the line or not. Did they talk about that?
They did briefly, but if you looked at the replay, the ball was clearly on the inside of his body, and you saw his elbow go down, and you could just kind of tell from everything that happened that it was clearly in.
I mean, he got walloped too.
Yeah,
on that
he did.
hit.
He held on.
He's a tough dude. He's a tough dude. I mean, it looked to me like he caught the ball in the end zone. He landed outside of the end zone, so it was like the ball crossed the plane technically for enough for it to be a score. But it was close.
I'd like to make
another
good Kirk point. We had some really good play action today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
where he really sold the play action and it affected the play and it made the defense jump. Kirk did really well in the play action. I thought today.
The zone bootlegs.
Yes.
The zone bootlegs were just incredible.
Yeah.
And I said this before we were talking before we started recording. I'm in love with these plays now where the wide receiver is lined up as an H-back and then goes into a flat on a bootleg play. We were getting those all day long, and they didn't do anything to stop it.
And especially on that third and one, we ran it. Kirk faked it to Chris Thompson. Everybody bit so hard on that, and then right to Crowder right there in the flat.
Crowder and Grant were the ones doing it a lot. Just amazing play.
Yeah. Make as many good Kirk comments as you want while we can, Steve, because you don't often see him putting in performances like we saw today.
I've not been the biggest Kirk Cousins fan in the world, but you got to give the man some credit. Did he look great in the first half? No, he didn't. But he didn't make big mistakes. And he kept us in the game. And then when
he managed the game.
And the last drive of the game, that was the best drive of the season.
Oh yeah.
Agreed.
15 plays, 90 yards.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great play calling by a series of play calls by Jay Gruden. Alfred Morris stepped up finally. We finally wore down the defense to the point where we had some room inside. Kept the drive going.
He got, I think, 2 first down runs there. For 10 plus yards.
Yeah. If we can do one or two of those a game every week, which we won't, but if we could,
no one does.
Right, exactly.
That's tough to do.
Yeah, that wasn't a bash on the Redskins. I mean, it's just hard to do. But if we could keep doing those, man, life will be good.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway for a lot of people this game is going to be Kirk Cousins not throwing it away to the other team, and obviously the emergence of these young receivers that we saw today. Let's talk a little bit about running game, because I feel like that wasn't necessarily a bright spot for the offense today, particularly in the first half. It seemed like we had that one
Sean,
good
remember,
run.
Though, we told you guys in the pregame that the Eagles had the number one rushing defense in the league in terms of yards.
It's true.
And they lived up to that. It was only at the fourth quarter that we kind of redeemed ourselves statistically. Alfred Morris finished with 17 carries, 62 yards, 3.6 average. But before that last drive, he was at about 2.0 yards per carry, and Matt Jones finished with 1.6 yards per carry, which tracks with what the Eagles did to everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we saw, and you guys know I love the coaching staff in general, but they realized that Thompson's speed was the best way to beat the Eagles, and so they fed the ball to him more.
I was going to say the same thing, man. Thompson really, let's talk about him a little bit. He's certainly filling that role. He's a nice complement to the other
Chris
two.
Thompson, 6 carries, 53 yards, 8.8 yards per carry for
most
was
on the draw play.
The 42-yard draw play. So he was at about 5 carries for 11 yards before that play, but he busted the home run. For the one carry.
Mm-hmm. You see that from him a lot, though. This wasn't the first time he's pulled off one incredible, 40-yard run in a game to really pad his own stats. You've seen that a couple times there. He really hits the home run play.
It's kind of what he does. He's not a franchise back.
Right.
He's not an every down back. He's a change of pace guy with speed who's going to hit one on the sweeps every once in a while, and when he's got that inside draw, out of the shotgun or the pistol, sometimes that works for him. And if we can get one of those a game, that's what he's for.
Good teams always have guys in both the running and the passing game who are like that. They're not going to get a big play every time, but they're going to get one of them a game maybe, and that's going to be where all their stats come from. We see it with Ross. I think Ross is that as a receiver. He's going to be that deep ball once a game receiver. And that's fine. You need those guys on your team to make a difference.
Yeah, and tip of the cap really to Gruden and the coaches for making that change, getting Chris Thompson more carries, because guys obviously know what we can and can't do with Alfred Morris and Matt Jones. They're basically the same type of running backs. We're not going to really hit you outside. We're going to just run it up the middle, inside zone type. I mean, you can occasionally run a toss with Matt Jones, but it's you're only going to do it once or twice. So really, to make that change was a very good strategic move. You needed to throw in a monkey wrench to the operation.
And I was one of the people that was kind of worried losing Halou that we were not going to have that type of
That's
dude.
Understandable.
I felt. But I feel like that the damage from losing him hasn't been as apparent as I thought it was going to be.
I was never afraid of losing Halou because I never thought he was that good. My fear was that Chris Thompson wasn't going to become what he is today. I mean, this year, I've said this several times here, but this is the first year that Chris Thompson's looked like a legitimate NFL player. He's looked like a different.
That's the most action he's gotten, though, too.
Yeah, this was definitely his breakout game.
Yeah. But that said, it really looks like this coaching staff, he had a breakout game this week. He might not have another one for 3 or 4 weeks. They're going to go with whoever can hurt the other team's defense the best.
Yeah, because the Eagles...
and that's great.
That's what
you have
should
to.
do.
Yeah, and the Eagles were really tough between the tackles on the run, and it was Chris Thompson really kind of opened them up, in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
But we finally wore him down, though, eventually. It took a long time, but it was that last drive, I don't know if it was because the Eagles were playing off, trying to prevent the big play or what, but it was all of a sudden there were holes there that just weren't there the entire game. Yeah. Robbie, what'd you see with that?
Well,
with the last drive, why there were holes, that Alfred Morris was able to find on that last drive that weren't there the entire game. Did you...
I just think Philly was expecting the pass most of the time. I think they just... they're not really going to run it, because they're down by a touch, technically a touchdown, because you got to score to get get ahead. So I think that Gruden was just like, well, screw it, we're going to run it and see what we can get out of it, and we did pretty well with it.
Right, they were defending as if Gruden was going to do the typical Gruden thing, which to his credit he didn't do, which is probably why we pulled out this win.
Yeah, because we said it last week, where he passed 24, 25 plays were passes, and he needed to mix it up, and this time he did. Good on Jay Gruden.
Yeah. Beautiful
and Alex,
stuff.
And Alex, you ran your heavy jumbo package at least once. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, that's what I want to see more of.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, maybe he's listening to the show,
I'm
guys.
sure well, is he here right now? Do we know?
Yeah, I think we have him on the line.
Hello, everybody. This is it's Jay Gruden.
Welcome to the
hey, Jay.
Hogsty.
Welcome back. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Everybody played pretty well. We got a couple guys banged up. Jordan Reed got a little concussion there, but I think he's going to be okay. We just got to go through the protocol.
So Jay, Jordan was teabagged for that concussion. That's a little awkward, isn't it?
A teabagged? I'm not sure I follow that, but he did get a concussion. It's going to be a wait and see type thing. We'll go through the protocol. We'll see what happens.
Hey, Jay, can you talk to us about just the whole field position battle?
Okay.
Going back and forth all game long, really. It didn't seem like any team was able to really get the edge at any point. Can you just go over what happened there?
Yeah, well, Darren Sproles got a little big return on us. It kind of changed the field position game on us there. Guys got to buckle down and make a play. Credit to Jackson Jeffcoat for hustling. He, really kind of saved our ass there. So, yeah,
But Jay,
pretty banged
what
up.
do you have to say about Kirk Cousins' performance today?
Oh, Kirk was great. Kirk was awesome. I can't say too much about Kirk because there's not much else to be said. Kirk does Kirk.
Yep.
Hard-hitting stuff, as always, Jay. You're a word You're a word
I promise
magician.
that was really Jay Gruden, folks.
Now he's never coming on the show.
Wait, if he does,
Yeah, I noticed,
if he does
by
come
the
on the
way-
show.
I gotta work on
if
that.
If he does
It's-
come on the show, we need to have Robbie interview him as Jay Gruden.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
If he comes on the
God,
show,
I wanted to say,
just mute my mic because you guys know how much of a man crush I got in him. I'll wear my red zebra striped pants and everything if he comes on the
My
show.
question is going to be: Is Jay explain to us why he should not be fired? That's what I'm going to ask him.
yeah.
Jay, where can I get
Well-
a 1990s Tampa Storm signed jersey from you?
Well, I shouldn't be fired because I like my job. I like coaching the Redskins. I think we're building something pretty special here. We got some good running backs, offensive line playing pretty well. Joe Barry coaching the defense. Guys are all banged up though, so they just got to get healthy and we'll be okay.
Yeah. By the way, that's a great point, Jay. Can we talk a little bit about the offensive line too? Offensive line was awesome today. I thought really good protection for Kirk. He didn't take a sack, or he took one sack maybe, but it was for like 0 yards. So it was pretty good protection day for the offensive line
Yeah,
guys.
pretty good.
Didn't really. This was without Laval, obviously, and didn't really see a huge issue with it.
Yeah,
Long had
credit
one
to Spencer
play where
Long.
he got gobbled up. I noticed.
It was on that 3rd and 1, right?
Yeah, they
The-
did that stunt
Yeah.
or whatever.
To stay right.
Yeah, he got
on
driven
that
back a little
stunt.
bit.
Tell us what you saw in Long, Robbie, Spencer Long.
He played much better than what he showed in preseason. He didn't really catch my eye on anything bad. So, I mean, I'll go back and watch the tape when it comes out. But
Hey,
I mean, at first glance, he did
I
pretty
think
well.
generally speaking, the offensive line was outstanding in pass coverage or pass protection rather. Today, Kirk had a clean
definitely.
pocket almost the entire game. I can't remember one play off the top of my head other than that one, other than a stunt. That was a jailbreak play or anything
Yeah.
like that. I thought the O-line did marvelous job.
Well, it was that,
Yeah.
and then there was the play where we were backed up in our red zone, and somebody came free.
Yeah, there
and
you go,
Kirk
that-
had to kind of like just dodge the way and threw
Just-
the ball to Crowder for a loss.
That's true. There were two,
Yeah,
but still
saved us from the
Yeah.
safety.
Yeah.
But
There were two.
Did he actually get sacked at any point?
I think the statistics say it was one,
That was
but
when
it
he was
was
scrambling.
it wasn't really for
that
a
was when he was
loss.
scrambling, right? I think that wasn't
Okay.
a real cut
think so.
pocket sack. I don't think.
But yeah, he
Right.
he had pretty much all day.
Yeah.
I mean, the play action that we were running too helped with that. But even when he dropped back, I mean, protection was solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fletcher Cox didn't really do anything except for his the third down when he stuffed Spencer Long, and then the tackle when he yanked down Matt Jones by his ear.
And the Eagles did get credited for one sack, by the way, technically speaking.
By the way, Matt Jones, it's time for a haircut.
Yeah.
You see,
I'm sure he's thinking the same thing. His head's probably a little sore
I mean,
today.
I
See,
like the dreads look with football players, but if you're going to get tackled by your hair, it's time for a haircut.
Yeah, I don't know though. I mean, it's legal,
I know.
but I think it's like one of those. It should be one of those unwritten rules that you don't really do that. You know,
It's legal in the same vein that
it's-
half the stuff Indomitian Sue does may technically be legal, but it's
Yeah.
kind of dirty.
Yeah, it's dirty. It's not fair.
I'm liable to let people keep doing that because I just still remember with fond memories Pierre Garçon pulling Richard Sherman down from behind by the hair.
Yeah.
That one play. That was a beautiful. I still watch that highlight sometimes. I love watching that.
Matt Jones wasn't his day today, by the way. He had 7 carries for 11 yards. It just wasn't his
They
day.
were keying off on our power backs.
Yeah, they
They
were.
really were.
Yeah.
They were set out to stop the run, and that's what happened. Except at the end there, really. I mean, I don't put any of that really on Matt Jones.
No, they're
Yeah.
just a good inside run defense
Yeah.
team. It's as simple
Yeah.
as that.
But we had
Yeah.
to stick with it, and we did, and that's what I'm happy about.
Yes.
Well,
Couldn't say that about Gruden last year.
because the play balance, we had 32 runs, 46 passes, which is pass leaning, but that, we had some need to go.
Against Philly, that's
and we
understandable.
had a drive where it had to be, passing, a passing drive too.
And we had to take advantage of it because they were stopping the run, obviously. So you had to pass, of
Yeah,
course.
it's not always going to be 50-50, nor should it be.
No.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. My final word on the offense today was the young receivers really stepped up. Pierre Garçon showed up and had an awesome game, and the just total game-wise in terms of offensive stuff, this is a team that's going to need to rely on the run a lot, but it's great to see that occasionally when the run gets shut down, you can depend on Kirk to put together a fourth quarter drive like we saw there that sealed the game. I don't think you can depend on that every week, but it worked today.
Let's
So
talk
power
about
to
the
him.
receivers. Our leading receiver, Jamison Crowder, 7 receptions, 65 yards, 9.3 average. Pierre had 7 receptions himself, 55 yards. Ryan Grant, the second-year player, had 5 receptions for 45 yards. So 2 of, and then we had Ross, caught the big fly pattern pass there.
Finally, he got in the offense.
And it was exactly what he
Safe-
should have been doing, running down the field, down the sideline.
Yes,
And
that should have been a touchdown too.
Yeah, the ball was a little underthrown,
I think-
I think. He had to slow down to catch
He
it.
Kirk put a little too much air on it, but I mean, it still was a great play.
Well, we've said the one criticism that I think I've had the most of Kirk is his deep passes are just he doesn't quite have the
stink.
touch. But
They stink.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do stink.
Yeah.
So safe to say that we're not going to see much Andre Roberts for the rest of the season? Is that safe to say
He's
after a performance
Dunsky.
like
Yeah.
today?
I don't think a
Agreed.
veteran gets benched like that, inactive, if he's going to come back. I think he's done.
Yeah. Well,
R.I.P.
people showed up today, and I'm fine with that decision because it looked like the guys who started in his place had a
And
great
Derek
lot more
game.
Carrier
committee
even
work,
had
too,
2
which was
catches.
good.
I don't remember Derek Carrier doing too much anything in any other game.
He had that one really solid
he
catch
did.
too.
Yeah.
Coming alive.
He plays with a little bit of physicality. I like that.
Yeah, agreed. It's what we need. Let's shift to defensive stuff now, unless you guys want to do concluding thoughts, anything we didn't talk about on offense. Let's shift over then to defense. Pretty good for the first half of the game, limiting the team to 0 points. But the second half of the game, things kind of unraveled. Can you guys talk me through that?
Yeah, I think what we all can really conclude in that game was Chris Culliver definitely was not 100%.
No.
He definitely.
They really went after him.
Yeah, they went after him because they knew he was still not fully healthy and ready to play. He probably shouldn't have played today, but he did.
We didn't have.
He
didn't
did
have
all
a
right,
choice 'cause of the
considering.
injuries and the youngins. Out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You
don't
know.
want to trust Blackman.
Yeah, I mean.
I think he was supposed to have a lot of safety help on the plays he got beat.
Oh
but,
yeah,
I mean, you still got to stay
the one
with it.
touchdown was definitely a safety problem. I think it looked like it was a seam route straight up the middle, and it looked to me like
Single high safety.
The single high
Yep.
safety. The safety got suckered in underneath for a split second, and that would open the whole field.
It
up.
was another post route, just like the Odell Beckham catch.
Exactly.
Same thing.
And the safety just read it wrong, I think.
I hope that's not
Yeah.
a trend with this defense, as that's something teams will start to exploit. But
Well,
They did it all last year.
yeah,
fast forward to the future real quick. I mean, we're going to be going against Julio Jones and a revived career of Leonard Hankerson
Nightmare.
next week.
Nightmare.
So that's stuff we
Yeah.
got to correct.
Can you guys believe Leonard
We have a
Henderson is doing so well in Atlanta? I personally can believe it.
Yeah, me too. I was going to
Yeah,
say. I mean,
it's not totally shocking.
No, definitely not.
it's what we constantly see from former Redskins guys going to other teams. I was going to say too about defense. It was nice to see Bashad Breeland made a couple good plays, including one really good pass breakup that I think was in the third quarter, maybe.
Had me
Great
scared
play
on
from
that.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's nice to see him bounce back because obviously he got kind of attacked last week, or not attacked, but
He was targeted.
He was on the bad end of some great plays that the receivers made.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's not like he played poorly last week. It's just he got a couple touchdowns scored on him. Who could have stopped Odell's amazing catch there last week? I mean,
not
it's
many
not
people.
really on him, but it was nice to see him bounce back a little bit, and make some plays.
Robbie, what'd you
How about our?
go ahead and what'd you see in the
Well, go
interior
ahead.
D line, Robbie?
I was just about to say, how about us finally getting like consistent pressure?
Right up the middle.
you, Lord.
Chris Baker, 2 sacks, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And here's the
Yep.
you guys noticed they released the information that he was actually now our starting lefty end over Stephen Paya, right? You guys saw
no,
that?
I didn't know. I did
Yep.
not see that.
Yeah, he's our starter now over Paya. I don't understand that really. I mean, Paya really hasn't been getting a lot of chances, but he's done well when he's in. But I mean, on the other hand, Chris Baker, he's done well. He's got 4 sacks on the year,
I
3
think
and a half.
Exactly.
He
Yeah.
might have become the team leader after today.
Yeah, 3 and a half.
Paya's really good with the run defense, but he's not great at sacking.
Well, you
No,
know what?
Baker
What
is.
was amazing is that one of Chris Baker's sacks was a stunt. That big old dude, big old nose tackle size guy, running a stunt like that. I was very impressed by that play.
Yeah,
It-
he's kind of breaking out this year. It looks like.
Numbers wise, our tackle leader today was Will Compton, 7 sacks,
Nice.
5
Wow.
total sacks.
He's doing well.
I'm sorry, 7 total,
doing
5
well.
solo sacks. Kayshawn Jarrett, 5 tackles.
Perry
Brashad-
Riley, watch your ass.
Seriously.
Bashawn Breeland, 5 tackles. Ryan Kerrigan had 4 tackles and a sack, 2 tackles for a loss, so he finally showed up, thank God. Preston Smith had
Wow.
a good game.
Eh.
For Kerrigan in 2015, that's big. Preston Smith, 3
You're right,
3
you're right.
tackles, the 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss. So Preston Smith had a pretty good game.
Wait. They counted that sack by Kerrigan and Trent Murphy as just a 1 solo sack for
Yeah.
him. Because they both were right there. That should have been a half a
Yeah,
sack.
I
well,
agree.
yeah, it's the stats I'm looking at give Murphy credit for 1 solo sack and Kerrigan credit for a solo sack.
That's interesting because they both were right there.
I'm wondering
They
if.
both,
No, I'm not looking at the official NFL stats. This is the ESPN
okay.
stats, so it may change.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because I would wonder, didn't Murphy get in another half sack at some point? So maybe they're doing a full for him.
No. He generated pressure.
Okay.
On the Chris Baker sack, he generated
Okay.
pressure. He was right there. He reached out with his left arm, almost got it, but Chris Baker finished it off.
Speaking of which, somebody just mentioned Murphy. Can we talk about him on that last
Series?
defensive drive of the game? Good Lord, who is this guy, Trent Murphy, and why haven't we seen him yet?
I hope to God that this is not just a fluke of a series for him, but that it's actually him, like it just clicked or something.
You know what? I mean, he's
Yeah.
a young player, and we've all kind of bashed him, and deservedly so. But young players aren't going to show up every game. What you want with a guy like Trent Murphy is for him to get a little better, start making more of an impact. He's just, unless your name is, I don't know, Bruce Smith, or a guy like that, which he's not. It's going to be an incremental progress for a guy like that, and maybe we saw a little incremental progress. He's going to have games where he does nothing, but if he becomes a solid rotation player, I think that's a good end game for a guy like Trent Murphy.
And Preston Smith got his sack too.
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of Smiths, we didn't have Bruce, but Preston, yeah, he had a pretty good game.
Yeah, he had with the stats I'm looking.
Batted ball.
Yeah, Bruce Preston, 3 tackles, 3 solo tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack, 1 pass defense.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good.
Pretty good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's solid.
absolutely.
I was happy. I don't think there's anybody you can really complain about when it comes to the front of the line. this game.
Yeah, I mean, on the run game, they held the Eagles, to only 87 total yards. Now, DeMarco
Yeah, they
Murray.
had one big run early, but
Yeah, well, I was going to say DeMarco Murray averaged 4.5 yards per carry, 8 carries, 36 yards, but that was largely due to his one carry. So if you subtract that one play, the Eagles did pretty much absolutely nothing in the run game today.
Yeah.
I would assume that we're
As they've been doing all
we're
season.
probably going to be the number one rushing defense again after today. Statistically, unless somebody had a really great game in the afternoon games. We're recording here during the afternoon games, folks. So
Falcons dominated, by the way. I think I don't know where they were statistically, but
Falcons were middle of the pack, so they're not going to beat
okay.
us.
They'll probably jump up after this game, though. They held. It was 42-0 for a good long while. I don't know what the final score was, but they were.
The Texans.
They were just.
The Texans came back. It was 42-21
Jesus.
when I last saw it. So yeah,
Oh,
they
was
came
it?
back a little bit. But.
Yeah, they were dominating.
the Texans
that game.
are a mess. Just by the way,
Well, when you have Ryan Mallett, who's just a god awful quarterback, you're not going to be good.
Yeah.
I keep on
Yeah.
hearing people saying that they're just waiting for next offseason. They're going to draft Hackenberg out of Penn State, but I don't think Bill O'Brien will survive till next year.
Don't get Hackenberg.
No, I know that, but that's
Robbie's
what they've
shaking
been
his
saying.
head vigorously. Have you watched him this year, Robbie?
Yes, I've been watching him.
He's terrible.
He's a statue.
Yeah.
I mean, he's more of a statue in the pocket than Robert was before he
I
got
don't
benched.
want to make
I
this
think-
a Texans hour, but Bill O'Brien is a schizophrenic when it comes to his quarterbacks. That guy can't make a decision.
Yeah.
He's had Hoyer, Mallett. I don't know what he's doing. Nor does he.
It does sound familiar.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Skins should trade RG3 to Houston. Just see what you can get.
we're not
that's-
trading RG3 to anybody. Can we make that
I
point?
know.
Okay.
No,
In case
no.
anybody
Oh,
out
I
there,
think we might.
in case anybody out there wonders, we are not trading a $16 million contract ever. Okay.
I know.
So just forget it. It's not happening.
A lot of people were saying, and this is just silly. I know a lot of this was just being silly and facetious, but a lot of people were saying wouldn't be surprised to see Chip Kelly try to snag up RG3 at some point because Bradford, not a great day
Hey,
today.
let me tell you guys. I watched this game with two Eagles fans, and one of them brought up how good Robert Griffin would look in an Eagles uniform because he thought that he fit, the offense.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, in
Robbie
theory,
should-
he
I mean,
does.
that makes sense, though. It makes sense if you think about it, and clearly Chip Kelly has no qualms about trading for an injury-prone
He's
quarterback.
not trading for. Nobody's going to trade for Robert Griffin. You don't trade a $16 million contract.
You're assuming
All right,
Chip Kelly's rational, Steve.
Yeah, I think we've seen plenty of evidence to the contrary.
I'm gonna bring this back to the defense.
Thank you.
Someone that needs a good spotlight here, shout out, is Kaishon Jarrett.
Yeah.
He was really pretty much solid coverage all throughout. I mean, he was, I think, on the bad end of that long touchdown that went to, I think it was Cooper.
Was it?
I want to say it was
he, or
Cooper's touchdown.
I thought that was
Or maybe it was Goldson. I don't know. It looked like 30 or 38, whatever. But
Okay.
other than, if I'm wrong, I hope so. But other than that, he was solid with his coverage, and he even had that awesome run stop. He was like right up the line of scrimmage, stopped the guy for a short yard gain, and I mean he's looking like our Breland from last year. Solid young rookie that's playing really tough
yeah,
defense.
he's doing a lot of little things right.
Yeah, he's another guy. A guy like that is going to have some steps back, and he's going to be good. He's going to be bad. He had a good game today, and I think all of us know, and I hope the fans understand that when you play corner, having step foot on the field as a corner, every corner is going to get beat. It just, no matter how good you are, Darryl Green got beat, Deion Sanders got beat,
Yep.
Lester Hayes got beat. Everybody gets beat sometimes. It does not mean they suck. It
sure.
happens because NFL receivers are good. I thought Keyshawn
You
Jarrett
just
played
got to
well.
move on.
Yeah, you do.
Yep. Well, beautiful. So what else do we need to call out on defense before we talk a little special team stuff? I think there is definitely some stuff to talk about special teams-wise,
Well,
but anything else you guys saw on
I mean,
defense
the only
that's
thing
worth
of
calling out?
concern, and we kind of touched on it, is Kerrigan missing those two very open shots on Bradford.
Yeah.
He's got to take better angles.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
he's
what I've
running.
noticed,
He's running.
too.
Quarterbacks when they get a guy running right at him are going to do that little rollout.
Yeah.
and try to make you miss. You got to take it. You got to go to where he will go. You know.
He always gets beat on that, doesn't he? Seem to always get beat on that.
Yeah, he does.
And he always trips too. It's like his base isn't wide enough, and the guy scrambles out and he just stumbles over.
The point I'd like to make
That's what
is
it
that
seems
we
like.
need more turnovers on defense. We got away with it this game because
Yes.
the Eagles blew some chances, folks. I mean, they had a touchdown that they gave back to us based on what I forget. Illegal, was it motion? I forgot what it was. The touchdown.
like that, yeah.
I think it was illegal motion. Our turnover ratio is going to remain at -5. We're going to still be near the end of the bottom of the league, bottom of the stats at that. We cannot keep. We're not going to win with that kind of turn. We need
Well, I
interception.
think
We
were
still don't have
+1 today
We
because technically they count the Murphy turnover. So, but that's a gimme in the end.
That's an end of the play, lateral.
I don't know. As of last week, we were one of only 3 teams that hadn't had an interception. And one of them was Seattle, and I can't remember what the other team was. So we have to have interceptions long term. That's our main failure has been that.
Yeah, and I highlighted that as one of
Yeah, you did.
our keys to the victory. We have to find a way to get turnovers.
And honestly, the fumble recovery in the first half wasn't because anything we did. It was just poor execution on that reverse pitch thing that kind of went awry. And, it was just kind of a lucky play more so than anything our defense did. Like the Jordan Reed fumble was just I can live with that because that was a great strip by the linebacker.
Yeah, it was close
yeah,
too.
It was, but it was just a great strip. That happens, but we are not creating turnovers in any way, shape, or form in any capacity, and that's bad.
I don't know if you noticed, but I tweeted after that play. I said, "Hey, Jordan, that's my move," and I quoted it saying it was Logan Paulson who said it.
I bet he loves that. All right, well, let's. Overall, I think the defense did not just enough. It was kind of nerve-wracking there in the third quarter when they started to come back.
The defense was assisted by the incompetence of the Eagles in many respects.
Yeah.
A better team would have been a different game if they had been a better team.
I'll
Like
be honest.
Falcons.
If you look at a little bit of the stuff on defense and on special teams, we kind of got away with this one.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
for sure.
We did.
But you know what? The Redskins
did.
having the luck that we normally have, I will take it. And the bottom line is that when it mattered most, the Redskins came through with a stop. The defense got a stop. And then the Redskins put together their best drive of the season late in the fourth quarter. And that is why we had a victory. And Doc Walker said it on the post-game broadcast, and it was like the old days, old games when it when it mattered most. They got tough, they made stops, they made plays, and that is what we need to see more on a consistent every week basis.
Yeah.
I have one concluding thought. I mean, I think I owe the New York Giants an apology. I thought they were not that very good of a team, but they just beat the Bills, who's a very solid team, very great defense. So I think we can kind of look at last week's game as, it wasn't, like us, laying an egg and playing bad against a bad team. I want to say it's mostly just Giants are actually pretty good, and we don't realize it.
Yeah, I'm liable to agree with you there. Let's talk a little bit too about special teams. I don't know if there's that much to say about special teams as much as much as there was the previous weeks, but special teams this week, I felt we had a couple of close blocks. It looked like. I mean, we got the punts off, but it was kind of close. The protection wasn't that great. On
Yeah,
punting
but that's
again.
not the failure. I mean, the failure was we cannot go one week without a long punt return. We were lucky that one wasn't. We were lucky it wasn't a touchdown. And I forgot.
Though Sproles is great. I mean, he's so good at that.
We missed a tackle there about 5 or 6 yards into that run that should have been made. I didn't notice who it was. I couldn't make it out. We'd have to go back and watch the film.
There was a couple guys that looked like.
Yeah, he just went right up the middle of the coverage and beat everybody.
It was just poor. It was poor. It was poor punt coverage on our part. It really
just
was.
Kick it out of bounds. Stop.
Well, I didn't understand
Kick it
that.
to the guys.
Why
kick
on
it
earth
out of
did
bounds.
why on earth did the punter not angle the punts? My goodness. I mean, you just kicked it straight down the field, straight to him.
Yep.
And see, here's the thing. I pointed out during the game, I tweeted it saying that our special teams, you just got to face it. It's a ticking time bomb. It does well here and there.
Yep.
It'll get your good stops here and there, but then all of a sudden, explosion. You get a big play that happens, and that's what happens. They didn't really give up a big play against the Rams. And then the next week, we
Blue versus Giants. Yep.
Well, and at some point we're going to have to get some decent returns. It seems like no matter who we put back there, we just do not get good punt returns. You know, I don't know what it is. We just can't do it.
We need better blocking, and then Crowder's trying to make too much happen. You know, he
is.
I understand. I mean, he's a rookie that's trying to make an impact and wants to make a big play, but he's just got to take what he
reverses
or take what he
reversed. He reversed.
Take what you can get.
Reversed the field at that one play, if I recall, and didn't get anywhere on it. He should have just taken his 6 or 7 yards and been happy on that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Instead of losing a couple yards.
But before we finish
special
on
teams,
before
we
we
got
finish
lucky
on it,
with
though-
that missed field goal too. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yes,
we got
we
lucky
did.
there,
Yeah.
and they missed an extra point too.
Yep.
33 yards.
Yep. Can't count on that to happen every week.
I mean, like I said, the Eagles really, assisted us in the win. The Eagles get an assist, on the win. Okay.
Yeah.
But,
I'll take it.
Again, we compliment, the front office for making a change of kicker. I gotta say it. We all love Cobra Kai, but the new kicker hasn't missed a kick, and he's
Man,
kicked all
this
of
one's looking great.
Yeah.
them. He
Yeah.
straight into the stands, if I recall today, didn't he?
He's done that almost every week so far.
Well,
Yep.
yeah. So hey, good on him. We found a good kicker. Now, at some point he's going to miss one, and we'll bash him. But we'll get to that when it happens.
Yeah.
Cross that bridge when we
Yeah.
get to it.
Yeah.
So what else about this guy? I wanted to ask Steve too if you have stats on this penalties-wise for the whole game. Can you talk to us
I don't
about
have
penalties?
the official stats. This is me making notes as we go. Okay.
Sure.
And so I counted 10, but
Yeah.
I think there were 11 because there were 2 kickoffs that all of a sudden I thought were touchbacks, and all of a sudden they were on about the 27-yard line. So I might have missed a penalty, but there were at least 10 legal formation, a couple holding, at least 2 holding calls in there. It was a sloppy game in that regard. Although I will say I give Brandon Scherf credit on the hold, that it was called on Scherf because it was a good hold. It was going to be a sack, and you got to do something. So I'd rather have a hold. So I don't really blame. He got beat on the play, but he did the right thing. So I can't blame him too much for it.
All right. The thing
Yeah,
that drove me
it's a good
nuts
point.
is at least 4 of our penalties were phantom calls. Specifically, the Trenton Robinson's unsportsmanlike conduct penalties.
I still don't understand.
Murphy's-
I don't understand that.
Those
one
were
still.
those were both looked like perfectly clean hits where the receiver ran into him, and that's absurd.
Yeah.
And then we had Trent Williams weird getting down the field on
I
that.
don't understand that one either.
What I think happened there is that they had an original play called where it was a running play, and Kirk audibled out of it, and I guess Trent didn't get that call. I'm willing to bet it's that, but I'll look again when I see it on
Yeah,
film.
because when I was watching it live, it didn't look like he got downfield.
I didn't notice it
if
either.
he
I
was,
didn't
he
either.
was
I didn't get
maybe
it.
half a foot across the line. And then we had a random on that final drive, they just threw a flag on the punt, and we went
Yeah.
from being on the 20 to the 10, and they didn't even
Yeah,
tell us
see,
what
that
it
was
was.
the one
it was
I
just
missed.
here's 10 yards.
That was the one I missed. So I think it was 11 penalties, not 10. I think is the way we ended up.
Yeah.
We're one of the most penalized teams in the league by far.
Yeah, I understand that, but still, these are mystery penalties that we're getting called on.
And along with that, here's my gripe. I mean, it's not just us that's getting really bad calls. I mean, this year in general has been, ridiculously, in a ridiculous amount of penalties. I mean, I think
League-wide.
I think the Bills-Giants game was on record pace for penalties today.
Was it?
I mean, someone tweeted that earlier, but I mean, really, I don't know what it is. I mean, I feel like the refs are just throwing flags to throw flags.
Well, I think-
It was Cam Newton pissed off Ed Hockley. That's what happened. Now the refs are out for
I
blood.
think we got away with one today, though. If you notice, we got away with the helmet-to-helmet hit on the quarterback. Did you all see that one?
Yeah.
We got away with that one.
And we kind of got
when
it. The Eagles got one weird penalty there on that holding call against Garcon.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah, that's right. Though he was kind
That
of was holding the defender's hand too.
Yeah.
There, it was. I feel like that was kind of a wash, which is probably why they let it slide.
Yeah.
I think.
But I mean, really, they need to really train more refs and get them to actually know what they're looking
You
at.
make a good-
Because I feel like they're just
Well, you make a good point, Robbie. I think the NFL has told them to call more penalties. And I think it all goes back to the concussion thing. I think they're worried about injuries. And I think if you gave the NFL front office truth serum, I'd be willing to bet that they have told the refs to be ultra picky on a certain category of things. And that has trickled down into them being pickier and pickier and pickier than they ever have been before.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you watch any game on TV, and the announcers always make a jab at it, saying, "Oh, I'm surprised there wasn't a penalty on that play," or something like that. It's ridiculous. I mean, just let them play.
Yeah.
If there's a blatant penalty, then throw it.
I'd like to make a plea to the networks. For those network execs that are listening to the show, please get rid of the refs in the booth. That they go to, like Mike Pereira and the other guy that CBS has, because those guys are just shills for the refs. They have nothing good to say. 95% of the time they just say, "Oh, the ref made the right call," and I'm sick and tired of hearing them, and I wish they just get rid of them. So I don't want to hear those guys.
I'm okay with saying, well, here's what you're looking for. Like, it's this, this, and this on this penalty or on this review. That's useful, but most of the time we as fans already know what we're looking for.
Yeah, well, and their role seems to be to just defend the call, and that bugs me. So I just don't like it. Before we go, does anybody have any injury updates? I have 0 on injuries. I know we had the Jordan Reed injury. Have we heard anything?
No,
I don't think so.
He's going to be looked at by the doctors.
Kerrigan came out but went back in, so that's good.
I think with the exception of Reed, I think we escaped with no real injuries this week.
Yeah, I think we're okay.
I really hope
not Jay Gruden told us it was a concussion. Was that is that where we are with Reed? Is concussion protocol?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Probably
he had
yikes.
Well, he had one of those in his first year and was out. Seemed like half the year.
Yeah. I tweeted saying, watch, he's gonna be out for the year. Book it.
And the thing is, it wasn't even that hard of a hit to the helmet. Like, the guy just kind of, like I said, I can't think of a better word for it. He teabagged him. His crotch went into Jordan Reed's back of the head, and that's that.
It's perfectly fine.
Must be a big Halo fan.
Yeah.
Right. See, that's just so concerning. Can you imagine how much of a blow that would be to this offense to have Jordan Reed out for significant amounts of time? And we kind of knew it was going to happen at one point this season, but good Lord, we can't afford to lose that dude.
Hopefully Deshaun Jackson comes back if Reed's out next week.
Good point.
By the way,
we're really going to need him next week because we got to score a lot, but that's next week.
I didn't read Reed's stats. Jordan Reed, 5 catches, 37 yards, 7.4 yards per catch, and a long of 15.
Yeah, not big plays, but he got. I think if he got 5 catches, 4 of them were first downs.
Yeah. See,
move the chains.
He's important to this offense.
Yeah,
if no other reason, just to distract the defense too.
Yeah, he's a go-to target. Yeah. He's very reliable as a pass catcher.
He finds space.
Well, let's wrap it up here with game balls. Who are you guys going to give the game balls to? I'm going to go with my man PG, Sacre Bleu. He came up big time in this game. I love seeing him come back alive in 2015 here. I don't know if that's a credit to him or to Kirk or what it is, but I loved what I saw. I'm giving it to Pierre. What about you,
I'm going to
Steve?
give mine to Kirk Cousins.
Wow, I never thought I'd hear you say that.
Everybody thinks I hate Kirk. Everybody thinks I hate Kirk Cousins, and I don't. I thought and still think that Robert Griffin is ultimately best for the team in the long run. But Kirk had a great game today. For Kirk, he didn't make any mistakes. He did not crack under pressure. We've seen that happen multiple times with him. And today he did what he did. He did what he needed to do to get a win. And so I give him a game ball.
Beautiful. What about you, Robbie?
I'm going to say Jay Gruden. I think he stepped up and coached pretty well today. That last drive especially, sticking to his guns with the running game. Most would have just went pass happy and probably would have ended in a pick.
I think he would have done that last year, frankly.
And really, making the switch to get Chris Thompson more involved. I think that was a smart move too. Just kind of mix it up and kind of make the Eagles defense run around a little bit more, trying to chase him down. So yeah, I want to give it to him. I think he's kind of growing a little bit more as a coach.
Jay Gruden. Our very own Robbie Duncan just gave you a game ball. What do you have to say about that? Do you have any words for your first game ball you've gotten?
It's an honor, and I'd like to thank Robbie for giving me the ball. But we're on to Atlanta now.
And I'm going to give mine. It's a team ball to the defensive line, who I think aside from the point where Bradford threw a bunch of touchdowns on us, they really controlled most of the game. they really got a lot of good pressure on Sam Bradford. They stopped the run most of the game. So I'm going to say just the defensive line in general gets my game ball.
Awesome. To that point, I was just going to say I didn't think we were going to see Sam Bradford get back up after that sack. Was that Baker that made that sack? He rolled his ankle.
Yeah.
Dude, he came up gimping. I thought that was it for him.
I was pretty close, though. If you remember back when we made our season predictions, I said Sam Bradford was going to get hurt against us.
He was gimpy.
But he was gimpy. I said he'd be out for longer than, for a long period of time, but he did sort of get hurt
I
against
was
us.
sure that was going to be a high ankle sprain out for the game. Mark Sanchez.
I think it was Hatcher, not Baker.
Yeah,
It was Hatcher,
It was
yeah.
Hatcher. Hatcher, jumped at him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He got
I like to
pancaked.
give another game ball to Chris Baker. By the way, I'm going to give 2. Chris Baker, 2 sacks, great game. Did well.
Yeah.
So Chris Baker
Nice
gets
guy,
another
too.
one.
You get to give 2 game balls because Kirk Cousins didn't throw 2 interceptions, so we have 2 extra game balls to give today.
Here you go.
Well, technically, we should all give out 2 game balls.
Well, I gave out
Okay.
the whole D line, so I gave out 4.
Because we
Yeah, you gave out 4. Yeah, we're really coming off the rails now. I'm gonna give it to God. I don't know. I'm gonna try to be original here. I guess I'm gonna give it to Crowder maybe for solidifying
There you
his
go.
spot
That's
as
a
the
good
slot
one.
receiver. Maybe
That's a good one.
I'm gonna give it to him. All right, well, cool. So that was the Hogsty. We're going to have some very exciting interviews coming up, so keep checking in for that. And boy, do we have a test for the team next week against Atlanta, so make sure you check in for our game preview and then after the game for the game recap as well. So I won't spoil the fun of who the interview's with, but you should check it out. Keep checking back because it's coming in hot. It's going to be an awesome one. We've got actually more than one lined up, so very exciting stuff on the Hogsty coming up soon. So we will see you next time. Take care.
Hail.